That 1 point stalling call, the difference against Baroni, that's going to be something he's going to think about probably for a while now. As we move on to 157, it's going to be Cole Wysocki of the Boilermakers, redshirt sophomore, 12-11 on the year from Edwardsville, Illinois. So he's familiar with these Fighting Illini and the state that they come from. On the other side, you have Kyle Langenderfer, redshirt senior, 6-7 from Mokena, Illinois. A lot of Illinois wrestlers here on the squad for the Fighting Illini, which you would expect, doing a good job wrestling in state.
Wysocki coming off of, again, another tough loss at Penn State. This 157 spot kind of going back and forth between Griffin Perriott and Wysocki. Perriott at 11-9, Wysocki at 12-11. So both of these guys kind of splitting time at that spot. And I think Coach Ursulin's just looking to see if someone take some command and see who can get a few wins and take that spot. Another
situation with both wrestlers are coming off of a loss. Kyle Langenderfer lost 6-1 to Jake Short of Minnesota, 18th ranked wrestler in the nation. So another close match that just didn't go the Illini way last time out, as they only lost by 3 overall team points to Illinois in what was a really, really good match. Wysocki gets the 2-point takedown right near the out-of-bounds line to get the first 2 points of the match.
Didn't look like Wysocki was putting a lot of pressure on Langenderfer in that position. Looks like he just kind of stood up as soon as Langenderfer stood up.
So with that escape from Langenderfer, the lead is now 2-1 in favor of Wysocki. Two completely different body builds, it seems. Wysocki a little taller, a little more lanky. And then you look at Langenderfer, just seems to have a little bit more muscle on him, a little bit more stocky, you would say.
Yeah, we see this in the 157 spot. We'll see it at the 165 spot, too, with Jacob Morrissey. He's another guy that's a lot taller than a lot of his opponents that he faces. Very slender for the weight class, so we'll see it again in the next match.
Seems to work to their advantage when they can get their opponent down to the mat and able to really sink those legs in and keep them broken down.
Yeah, Morrissey does that a lot. Wysocki also does that a lot, using those long legs to his advantage.
But then on the other side, where the disadvantage comes in is when you're neutral and there's a lot more leg to grab.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, is that quickly, as we were talking about it being an advantage, it quickly turned into a disadvantage.
Yeah. As Langenderfer was able to get that long leg of Wysocki, as now the referee nears maybe a stalemate call, and there it is right there. So
that's a tough call for the guy that's on top, in this case being Wysocki. When you're trying to go for the leg, and the guy that's on bottom, Langenderfer in this case, just having a hold of his leg and just kind of sitting there, and then the stalemate gets called. Even though no one really had control, it's just a tough call when you feel like you're doing something, and you know the other person isn't doing something.
Yeah, because if you're Wysocki, all you got to do is get that one leg free, and then you're going to get the 2 points for the takedown because you're on top.
That's what makes it frustrating for that guy that's on top.
Yep. So at the end of one, it's 2-1 in favor of Wysocki. He will be up here to start the second period, up in the scoreboard and up on the mat. See Langenderfer putting that back pressure on, trying to stay on his base, all fours.
Yeah, Wysocki just a little too high. If he stands up, really pops those hips up, he's probably going to throw Wysocki.
You see him kind of loading up those hips and getting ready for the explosion upwards. Wysocki doing a good job continuing to move back and forth from right to middle, trying to keep him.
That was a great move by Wysocki. Just kind of waited until he got high enough and rolled through, was able to get the reversal. Great by him. So the referee's going to call locking hands on Langenderfer and give him the 1 point.
So we have Purdue Pete over here giving us a little insight, a little help here.
Boilermakers looking good today against the Fighting Illini. Purdue Pete definitely on the side of the Boilermakers here against the Fighting Illini.
1 point escape for Wysocki, moving the score to 4-3. Both wrestlers start going out of bounds, and we're back to the usual high scoring, affair here is now we take a shot there at Purdue Pete. Now he's over talking to the girls and hanging out in the bleachers. See him over there quite often. Nothing like a selfie with Pete. Under a minute here in the second, 4-3 lead for Wysocki. Another back and forth, high scoring affair here. Seems like a lot of rolling around, a lot of offense to defense and everything in between. Shot there by Langenderfer. All Wysocki's got to do is get that leg out, and he's going to have the up advantage as he's trying to roll him through. Unable to do so, and Langenderfer gets the 2 points for the takedown. Coach Ursland has thrown his brick, and now he's kicked his brick, trying to get the referee to see it.
Yeah, that's one thing that has to be recognized, that the challenge brick does not stop play. The referee recognizes the challenge brick, and especially in that situation that the clock's running out in the second period, if he'd like to wait until the clock runs out to review whatever it is that that one of the coaches wants to review, that's his decision to continue the match if he chooses to do so. So it looks like they're going to go to the table to look at that.
Coach Ursland was adamant that he wanted to throw that challenge break and get another look at it. I think he thought that Wysocki had the upper hand and had the 2 points for the takedown.
Yeah, I think what he's wanting, what he wants to come out of this is he wants to get the takedown and then maybe give up the reversal.
Right.
But he thinks that Wysocki earned the takedown.
Yeah.
So it should end up being 6-5 rather than 5-4. Favor of Wysocki. Because
if you keep the call as it is, Langenderfer gets 2 points, Wysocki gets nothing. If you get the overturn, Wysocki gets 2, Langenderfer gets 2. It's a wash.
Right. And I don't think that he's going to get that call overturned.
Me neither.
It didn't look like he had control at any point.
In almost all those in almost all those instances, you have to get that leg free to have the dominant position.
Yeah, and it was such a slow process that referees don't miss that call very often. That if it's usually the quick ones that they
could
like to go back and look at that could be missed. That
sure.
The referee didn't give control to somebody, but that was such a slow developing situation that I have a hard time seeing that being overturned.
It's been a really fairly long break here, and kind of, I don't know if it's good or bad that it happens at the end of a period, but I guess it's better than, like as you said earlier, if he would have stopped it with like 10 seconds remaining in the period, that would have been a tough start, stop, start situation.
Yeah, I think the referee made the right call of waiting till the end of the period. There was only a few seconds left. What's important in these situations, though, is that these wrestlers talk to their coaches. The coaches have seen what their opponent likes to do, so get a little idea of what they're going to try in the next period. But for the wrestlers, this is a long break that they're kind of cooling off a little bit, and it's a fine line between catching your breath and then starting to cool off. So if this break lasts a little too long, these guys kind of starting to tighten up just a little bit. So they're hoping to get this going just as quick as possible, as I'm sure the coaches and even the fans here are.
Something I see with wrestlers that you don't really see with all athletes in all sports is when they're resting, they're constantly walking around and they're constantly moving, trying to keep those legs loose. A lot of times you see basketball, people go to the bench, or football, you go to the sidelines, you take a seat. Not these wrestlers. It's something about always wanting to keep moving, kind of just try to stay in the flow.
Yeah, because you're using almost every muscle in your body when you wrestle. So you see wrestlers when they're warming up, they're shaking their arms out, they're shaking their legs out, because they want to keep every single muscle in their body warm, because if one thing tightens up, then it can hurt the rest of you.
So the call stands. Illinois got the 2 points for the takedown. No points were awarded to Wysocki. He now gets the 1 point escape and ties up the match 5-5. So after all that, and the challenge by Coach Ursland, as we expected, he lost. And with the score 5-5 here in the third, we're going to look for 2 points, as now, once again, Purdue's bench is looking for the 2-point takedown, and that time he got it. And Cole Wysocki takes the lead.
Yeah, I think the difference in that situation, though, is that Wysocki was completely behind Langenderfer as he gets the reversal there very quickly, ties the match back up. But I think what the referee saw there was he was completely behind Langenderfer. He just had his leg underneath him, those long legs coming into effect again.
So back and forth we go here. Getting close to a minute remaining in the third period. No riding time is going to be awarded to either wrestler unless something crazy happens here, and Langenderfer is able to keep Wysocki down the entire rest of the time because currently he is down 1 second. So that's going to flip over into his favor here shortly, but it's going to take quite a bit of, it's going to take pretty much all the rest of the period in order to get the riding time. So we can pretty much take that out of consideration as Wysocki goes for the escape, and he gets it. So back and forth once again. Wysocki on top now, 8-7.
Yeah, I think that should have happened a little bit earlier. I think Langenderfer was kind of trying to hold on to that top position for a little bit longer than he should have. I think as soon as Wysocki stood up, he should have given that point and get back on offense instead of trying to play defense there.
Be curious to see the strategy for Wysocki here with 30 seconds to go. Do you stay with all defense, or do you still stay aggressive and try to go for a shot here to increase your lead?
See, it's a tough position to be in because you can't just play defense. The referee in these positions, as we saw in the previous match, is looking for stalemates. He's looking for stalling in any situation, and he's not afraid to give those out. So you have to stay active.
Shot there by Langenderfer, fought off nicely by Wysocki. Here goes Langenderfer once again. He's got a hold of that long leg of Wysocki. He's got to keep a grasp. He's unable to. 2-point takedown with 5 seconds remaining to take the 8-9 advantage is Langenderfer. Now he's trying to tilt him over on his side, but he doesn't even need any more points because after a late takedown in the final 10 seconds, Langenderfer of Illinois gets the win, 8-7, and 8-9, in just a brutal, really close match for Wysocki.